concerns like that, let them know, and normally they do, you know, maybe put a wider flare or radius there so you can help curb that, because I know exactly what you're talking about, but that's been happening for a while, and we try to put stone and gravel in it in the meantime to help it, but.
Can we as citizens call the Cook County and let them know about it?
Well, we can, we usually take a concern like that, put it in the program.
Oh, okay.
We keep track of that, so you have a running record of a curb, a storm sewer, whatever. So I'll make a note of it tonight, and we'll keep that in mind whenever we do something on the street.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your input. Any others?
Hi, John Corcoran, 6417 Apache Drive. I just wanted to confirm, you know, I was hearing a little bit more of kind of this work is for prioritization of the streets to be repaired. I hope and would encourage that there, an output of this is also kind of a holistic view of what it costs us for infrastructure, and kind of getting that to, again, an annual run rate of depreciation, so we know, you know, in a year that we're not doing street repair, we're still incurring wear and tear on the streets that has a cost. And, you know, I think it would be great to see what that total cost is before we start prioritizing and talking about maybe what might be shorter term or more focused revenue solutions.
Just to comment on that, I would say we're going to be hopefully evolving to an asset management strategy, looking at all of our assets in the village, sewer and street assets, keeping that, and as it relates to depreciation and being reinvested into our assets, we're going to have to figure all that out. So we're going to have money to do all the crack filling and all of the preventative maintenance on the streets that they recommend. So our street wear, so we, you know, if we treat them better, then they're going to last longer. So I think we're going to have to look at an asset management strategy, which will include some of the things that we brought up in the last two meetings about setting aside money in the budget for depreciation and use and all of that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, we will move on to agenda item number 3 now, the report on village utilities, trustee Minshaw.
All right, I promised Rich I'd be short, under a couple minutes, so I'm going to go real quick. This is a draft. As a new guy in town, again, utilities are new trustee. What I'm trying to do is get this information online. I know it's hard to read. I did bring a few printed copies. I didn't want to be not good to the environment. But anyway, so like there's NICOR listed here, the year of the contract. The original contract, it was a 50-year contract. The village benefit is $50,000. And like we were talking earlier, there's 11,000 therms for the village buildings. Goes down to Comcast. We talked a little bit tonight about West Central Cable Agency. Thank you. The WCCA and that impact. We don't get that money, but we are part of the 5 communities that get that. We get about $75,000 for the Comcast. Telecommunications, which is the cell phone and landline fees that we get, that's $135,000, and then ComEd is about $115,000. So my plan again is to get this on the website, and you can see this little NICOR. You can't see it, I apologize. We're trying this new overhead kind of thing. You click on NICOR if you want to go to the contract. Over here, there's an agreement with the WCCA. You click on that, and you can go to that agreement. So trying to get the information out on the website available. One thing that Frank and I have talked about is the Comcast agreement is up end of September this year. So Frank has started the process to look into that. So anyway, that's all I got. Happy to take a couple questions if they're under now about 20 seconds.
About 30 or 50. I have a question about AT&T for communications.
Yes.
I don't see it here. Is that lumped into telecommunications?
Well, AT&T, we had an agreement for Comcast with Jones Cable, then AT&T, now Comcast. I believe AT&T is under telecommunications, but I don't know. I'm still kind of learning. That's why it says draft. You can barely see that. So I'm still trying to get it.
I can kind of answer for you. AT&T is basically 2 entities. The telephone is included in the telecommunications. Uverse, which is their video offering. They elected to go with a statewide franchise. Comcast is not. That's a straight statewide franchise. The amount we received, I guess the budgeted amount is $75,000. Actually, I have that page with me. That would include the money we get from, I believe we get about $61,000 from Comcast and franchise fees. The remainder would be Uverse.
So 61 Comcast and 14 or something,
Yeah,
roughly?
somewhere around there.
I'll get the right numbers and try to update this sheet.
I'll give you what the last fiscal year was from each one.
Right, and there's 911 fee too,
Nine-
on both the landline and the telecommunication phone group bill as well. 'Cause I looked at my phone bill.
But that's not on this.
But 911 is not, the 911 fee
Right,
is not
right.
listed on this sheet. That 135,000 telecommunications is the franchise, the utility taxes from, that exclude 911.
Any other questions, comments, trustees? Hearing none, audience?
Would Groot be, do we get any franchise from Groot? The
For
garbage,
recycling and trash.
garbage collection?
We don't have any contracts with, group is, it's easiest way to explain this, the Acacia, the condos, they all, contract individually as associations with waste hauler. And I believe on the west side of Wolf Road, it's mainly group, but I don't think people have to go with group if they don't want to. There's no-
Mike, it's basically, the waste hauling is private contract between the homeowner and the entity, and there is no franchise with the village. So anybody can hire any waste hauler. It seems to have been in the village for a long time, has devolved down, even as new people come in, again, speaking only from experience at my street, I would say everybody has group, but occasionally a new homeowner might have one of the other waste haulers, Allied Waste, for example. They pick up on a different day, and that lasts for maybe 3 months or 6 months, and then guess what? Those people switch to group, and everybody's get their trash is hauled the same day.
Well, I guess, just to your question, you know, we had a great discussion last week about, somebody asked about revenue opportunities, so I guess I'll turn it around to say, and I don't know if you know the answer, but is that a revenue opportunity to create a village-wide service?
I-
What are you talking about?
You
For
know,
garbage pickup, for refuge, you
So
have,
that's a contract we have with Ruth. You have nothing to do with it.
you could have a, like Western Springs and Hinsdale provide garbage pickup, right? You could get revenue from the vendor, just like we do from Comcast. We get 5% of Comcast revenue about comes to the
You want
village.
to charge them for quick picking garbage up the fee to the village. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, so you would pay for your garbage, and if we got enough people to sign up, they would give us a quote franchise fee.
Sure.
You're doing it with electric today, gas, and cable, where we get franchise excise taxes from those utilities. That's what I'm saying, is it an
If I may add something, I think that that could only be applicable if we as a village would sign a contract with group.
Correct.
And then the homeowners would have to be, the bills would be collected by the village. And then the fees would be disseminated to group. So it would be taken on probably more costs insofar as people performing tasks in the village and collecting, and then the collection falls on the burden of the collection then falls on the village. Because in your contract, you're gonna pay group, and you're gonna have to collect from, so we might be going on a slippery slope
Sure. I'm just bringing it up.
in that regard.
But I think it's an idea, it may be good and it may not be good. In the reference with electrical, we don't collect that, the electric company pays. So you can set it up many different ways. There's 8 ways to slice the issue if you want to go that way. So I appreciate the idea, thank you.
Okay, anything else and from the audience on the utility report? Okay, thank you for your input and questions. And we will go to the next item of business. This is discussion, excuse me, discussion regarding changes to village municipal park hours regarding times open to the public. For lack of a better way to say it, trustee O'Loughlin.
Yes, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the different parks. We have Black Hawk Park, which is located right over here in Acacia, Arrowhead Point, which is located over on Plainfield and Wolf Road, and then we have Kelly's Playground / Sacagawea Park, which is located over on the Frontage Road and Keokuk. The park over Kelly's Playground and Sacagawea Park is located over on the Frontage Road and Keokuk. The equipment is for 5 to 12-year-olds. Currently, the park closes at 10 o'clock at night. There is one street light. It's very dark there. Usually, you don't see the little kids there at night. You see the bigger kids. You see the teenagers, or you see adults sitting there. And usually, they're not just sitting there. They're usually drinking, etc. And my proposal is that we change the park at that particular park to from dusk to dawn, or dawn to dusk, just depending on the wording of the sign. And then, so we want to close it when the sun goes down and reopen it when the sun comes up. And the reason being is this way too, when the police go by, they don't have to have a reason why they're stopping. If the park is closed, they can stop the people to see what they're doing at the park. It's for the safety of the children as well as the community. And then so I would like to, if at all possible, just that particular park, the park over at Black Hawk Park right now, that is open from 5 until 10. And then Arrowhead Point, it's really at the corner over there, and really nobody ever congregates or goes there. There's no, exactly. And that, but I would like to be able to propose that we change the, especially since there is no lighting, it's very dark down there. The park playground really is for children from 5 to 12. It's not really for adults or teenagers, etc. I think it could eliminate part of the drinking with the teenagers. And also too, this way, the police have a reason why, if they're driving by and they see people in the park, they can just stop and say, what are you doing there? That the park is closed, versus having to wait till a resident calls up.
Trustee O'Loughlin, your focus is to change the hours at Sacagawea Park Kelly's Playground.
Correct.
And that's all we're talking about then at this point?
Correct.
Trustee Walsh.
I have no objection. My question really was more of an enforcement issue. First of all, do you have to give a notice to the people in the park? Do you have a sign there saying that these are the hours of the park?
Well, we'll put a sign, we'll change the sign
Dusk to
to,
dawn.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll show.
But more importantly, and this may be somewhat of an arbitrary statement, I mean, how does law enforcement determine what is dusk and what is dawn? I mean, if you have a time frame that says 8 o'clock, you know what 8 o'clock is. You know, if you're looking for a probable cause to stop somebody, for example, I mean, obviously at midnight, that's an easy call. What I'm saying is, you know, how do you determine what is the actual time? And maybe other parks do that. I don't know about the city of Chicago. I don't know if that's commonplace.
We have more discretion, you know, if you have a set time, like it closes at 10, then of course you can't do anything until after 10. But at least if the sun starts going down and, you know, then we can use a little bit more discretion, it's a little darker, you know, 8 o'clock in the winter, it's 4 hours.
Right. Sure.
6 o'clock. So that gives us some discretion. I mean, of course, we're not, you know, when we go talk to people, we don't go in as stormtroopers. You know, we will go in and say, hey, you know, it's too dark out. So, you know, it's dusk. We feel that it's dusk and getting up.
So, and again, I have no problem with it. I'm not familiar with parks. Is that commonplace for parks to have that type of terminology? Dusk to dawn? Or do most parks have a specific time?
Some have specific times, others have dusk to dawn, a number of them have sunrise to sunset,
Okay.
because those are published times.
That's fine.
You can determine those from a newspaper and whatever.
Okay, thank you. I have no objection. Thank you.
Trustee O'Loughlin, I'm sorry.
No, the dusk to dawn, we have the same issue with headlights on cars, right? They have to, in theory, they have that.
Right. It gives us discretion.
But I think it's a good idea. I think all the parks ought to be dusk to dawn, or, did I say dusk to dawn, dawn to dusk? Or I like the time to the public, so.
was gonna, I appreciate your input, what I was gonna ask trustee Laughlin, would that, but in light of what trustee Walsh had mentioned, would that work? Are you still leaning to ask for the, park hours are open from dawn to dusk? Or do you want to go to a specific hour, or in light of the comments so far, go sunrise to sunset? We want to hear some more input maybe from the guys.
What, we can hear some input from the audience.
Well, anything more from trustees first? Okay, in the back, Mrs. Metz.
Hi, well, I had two comments. I think it's a great idea. I also think you should include the Heritage Center in, as a park, in a sense, because that big open lawn next to it could be construed that way at a certain point, and why not just include it at this point if you're gonna be talking about park hours? The other thing is, I was looking on the website, and maybe I just missed it when I saw this on the agenda, and I didn't see hours noted in the park section for any of these parks. So whatever you do, I think it should also be included on the website. Yes,
There is hours noted for Black Rock Park, but that's the only one that's noted for.
on the website?
Yes, it does say 5 to 10.
Okay, great.
John O'Loughlin, 6309 Keokuk. When we moved in, it was dusk to dawn, sunrise to sunset. And really, when that becomes an issue is in the winter. And so the sun sets at 5:30, 6 p.m. And if kids were there at 7, 8 o'clock at night, I'd be walking my dog and I'd say, hey kids, did you know the park was closed? And if they were young kids, they wouldn't be there because it was dark out already. And if they were teenagers, they would say, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. blah, 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 and they would leave. But now that it says 10 p.m., it's 7, 8 o'clock at night, and maybe spring or fall, obviously in the middle of winter, they probably wouldn't be there, but sometimes they are. And it's still, open till 10. So at one point it was dusk to dawn or sunrise to sunset. So really, that's when it's summertime, it's not as much of an issue.
Anybody else? Anybody care to comment on, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Tom, just on expanding this beyond, I think trustee O'Loughlin was focusing on Kelly's Playgrounds at Julia Park, input from Mrs. Metz regarding the Heritage Center. I can see some applicability there, but in my opinion, Arrowhead Memorial Point is on the corner of two busy streets and no places to really congregate. And Chief, I'm not aware of a problem at that place because of the openness.
Yeah, off the top of my head, no.
And then the other major one is Blackhawk Park. And the concern I would have with respect to that is we have the townhomes from Acacia, we have the Wilshire Green buildings, we have all those residents and all those associations there. And although it's not a lighted park, like they light the ball fields down at Pleasantdale, there's ambient light from the parking lot, from the street, just even from the buildings. I don't live up here, so I can't speak to it, but it just occurs to me that because I've seen people walking when it would be what I would call dark out, especially in the summer. Somebody, a couple wants to go for a walk and it's 10 o'clock at night and they go through the park or walk their dog. I'm not so sure that we would want to restrict it.
You phrase it so well, I will take back my comment.
I appreciate it.
But Mr. Mayor, I would recommend though, with some of the comments from the audience, that we make the sunrise to sunset, which is terminology I just prefer versus I think it's clear, but I think the Heritage Center probably would be appropriate for that, and I think Arrowhead Point probably would be appropriate for that too. Black Hawk I think is a distinct entity, and I agree, but I think those other three parks, sunrise and sunset would probably be appropriate. Since we're discussing, we might as well, make it applicable to those three other parks. But that's my thought.
Okay, let me ask the trustees, would that be agreeable? So the proposal, and again, we're not gonna vote in a final format tonight, folks, this is for discussion, just to start it going. As I understand it, we would, the proposal is to apply it at Kelly's Playground, Sacagawea Park, Heritage Center, and Arrowhead Memorial Point. It would exclude Blackhawk Park, and the wording would be that it is open from sunrise to sunset. Did I characterize it correctly?
I'll defer to trustee O'Loughlin, it's her project, and that's what I think would be appropriate.
No, I mean, that would be fine if it was sunrise and sunset, it's more of a design timeline. If you're able to do it.
Trustees, input or questions with respect to this iteration of it? Okay, how about from the audience?
Mary
City Davis
Urena.
Arena, please.
Mary Urena, 6402 Arrowhead Court. Sunrise to Sunset is published in the newspaper every day, so it's a hard number and it changes, you know, it changes every day. So that's, I mean, it is what it is and it's enforceable. So that makes a ton of sense. The Heritage Center, I have a question. Is the Heritage Center property open to the public when the Heritage Center is not open?
That's a good question.
I think we're talking about the lot right next door to the Heritage Center, where the white fence goes around that parcel around. You know, I don't think we've ever discussed whether that is open. Obviously, no one can drive there, but someone can in theory walk through it. I don't think we've ever defined that, and that may be something that we have to discuss at another meeting, whether or not that's actually considered a park. And if we're going to consider it a park, you know, what are the legal obligations we would have if we're opening, if we're inviting the public into a park? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, if it's open land and it's owned by the village, it's technically public land. So absent regulations, the public can go on that land unless you regulate it otherwise.
Mr. Metz?
At the Heritage Center, there's a toll-type gate at the driveway. What is that for? If it's been up in the up position for the longest time from what I can tell, if we're not using it, can that be sold as surplus property?
What it was intended for is there used to be a chain type fence barricade across the entrance to the parking lot. And it's been quite some time now since that's been changed and put in there, but that was the intent, was to make it easier, I think, to barricade the parking lot. I pass by it like you do, and I see it's up, pretty much all the time. I don't know if it makes sense to, if we decided we needed it in the future, maybe we should look into using it more often now, for the purpose it's there, as opposed to selling it and then realizing we have to bring something
Is there a
back.
problem with it being in the up position, or do the police have to go in there and drag anybody out?
And off the top of my head, there hasn't been, a few times residents have asked, they live close by and they have a gathering or a party and the Heritage Center's closed and they live on Wolf Road, can they park cars there? And I would give them permission, like, however long their party's gonna go, they take the resident's phone number in case of an issue. Probably why the reason it's up. Just for that purpose, that's when it really started going up. And I never really saw any reason to tell a resident, no, you live so close, you can't use it, go find your, tell your.
It looks quite frankly ridiculous. It's never fit in with that center in any kind of
You
way.
can leave it there and take the gate part off and just hook it up if you feel you need it.
And those, when the school is in session, don't
The crossing guard.
guards park in there?
Yeah.
Crossing guards parking there during, that's another.
Twice a day.
I guess it became more problematic to put it up in the house.
Why don't we look into it?
Well, we'll have to look at it.
Chief and Ed, take a look at it.
To me, the overriding issue is to decide what the status is of the Heritage Center property and public access officially, because if it's like a park, then the parking lot shouldn't probably be cordoned off. I should be able to go and take my picnic and park there.
Certainly is a point that needs to be considered,
Becky Glasscock, 123 Acacia. I'm a docent at the library, and occasionally the docents have to go in, especially before our book book selling in the fall to arrange it and things like that. And there's various times that we have to go into the library. So, and I also was thinking about the crossing guard. So I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to designate it as a park unless you just do that one section on the south side of the building. And also the Indian Head Park Ladies Club, I think, meets there.
No, they don't anymore.
They don't anymore, but occasionally, hopefully, maybe some clubs could use it, because it is called a heritage center. And maybe in the future, someone might want to use it in the evening.
I think it'd be
I
wonderful to
saw it
have an
in
ice
this.
cream social there.
Yeah.
Then everybody can
Talk to
come.
us, we'll plan it.
I know, you want me to plan it. But I think then everybody would, you'd get a lot of people from the village that would come. And, you could charge for it, a small fee and ice cream and put it in a cup, make a float and let everybody make a strawberry float. Let everybody come and see what the library's all about, because I don't think a lot of people realize that you can actually go there and get wonderful books for vacation, or wonderful books to sit outside with tables and read during the summer. See, I'm getting all wound up now.
I think you got good ideas.
Before you go too far, could you say your name and your address for the record, please?
Oh, my name is Ann Waters, and I live at 6371 Keokuk Road.
Thank you.
But I think it would be really a great place for people to congregate, read their books, have their Starbucks, and, but you need to have the people come.
We even have a coffee pot, so you don't.
Yeah, and you can put, a quarter in to get a cup of coffee. But it is a beautiful, place to go. I've been in there several times. I don't make it as often as I like, but it is a beautiful, homey place to go, and it is, but it's not doing the service that it could be doing. But I understand you need more people. So, I do understand that, but I think an ice cream social would be great.
Great. Tom, I'll recognize, I forgot last time, just one time say your name and.
Tom Reynolds, 6491 Indian Head Trail.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea that, about using that area that's next to the Heritage Center. But I think that you really would have to designate it as a park. I think we should encourage the residents of the village to use it. People have some great ideas, but it's kind of like, it's ambiguous now as to whether it is a park, is it public land, can we use it, can we not use it? So I think that really what we should do is undertake a measure to actually name it as a park and put it under the regulations of sunrise to sunset, which, by the way, removes all the ambiguity of dusk to dawn. And I think that works very well insofar as the police and enforcing anyone that's there after the designated hours when you have it published and it's from dusk to dawn. That's not clear, whereas sunrise to sunset would. And I second what this lady just said over there. But I think we need to establish that area as a park because it's kind of ambiguous now.
I appreciate it. I think that's a good comment, and I would like to interject here. It's always interesting to see how a proposal for one park for dawn to dusk develops into, and these are good points. I'm not making fun of anybody or anything. It's very good points. I agree that I think we need to go forward then, especially in light of the conversation tonight, to define better what Heritage Center is and the role going forward. But I think that's above and beyond what the proposal was that we started with. And so I would just suggest at this time, since, and again, this is only my personal opinion, obviously we don't have we call it the Heritage Center, it does have a vacant lot. I never quite looked at it as a park in Indian Head Park, but yet I can see where somebody could characterize it as such. But with respect to trying to move forward, at least with regard to the regulation of things that we do recognize as parks, let me suggest then, if it's agreeable, and I would entertain a motion to direct council to prepare an ordinance for the next meeting consistent with the discussion to regulate the, would it be hours of operation, the hours open to the public for Kelly's Playground, Sacagawea Park, Arrowhead Memorial Point, from sunrise, open from sunrise to sunset. And that we could then discuss and vote on that ordinance